What was going through your head when you found out that you were going to be a Viking? What did you think of this past draft? What do you think about the situation with Shadur?
I go to sleep. I stayed up late having fun in my first time. I wake up to 30 missed calls.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Championship Rep Podcast. I'm your host, Xavier Garcia, here to get my championship reps in becoming a sports journalist. I would like to thank Coach Paulson and Blue Springs High School for letting us use the wonderful facility today. And today we got somebody who graduated from Blue Springs High School and played in the NFL. He's a K-State alum and Super Bowl champion. Please welcome Elijah Lee. So what do you think of everything added to the facility?
This is crazy. This wasn't even a thing. This is where I think the away teams might have went for halftime. I don't remember this breezeway. Honestly, I didn't even know it could turn into this. So It's amazing. The things they did to it, I like it. Yeah. It's most definitely next level.
So Elijah, you moved from St. Joseph to Blue Springs?
Yep.
And you were told that you wouldn't be able to play Kansas City ball. How did that affect your mind? How did that motivate you from overcoming that adversity?
It wasn't the first time I had to overcome adversity. Yeah. And I was always a kid that really didn't pay attention to what everybody had to say. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, it was my story, my chapter of my book that would take me where I needed to go. And I knew I was confident enough that, like when my first day here, I was able to play multiple positions. I think if it would have went the other way, I would have proven right. But I'm in the business of proving people wrong. You don't get as far as you get in life without proving people wrong. So that was always my motivation. It could have been other things, but it played a part with my motivation, like my family's motivation, siblings, and just my situation in life, wanting to be better.
Okay. Did you like the coaches?
Which one? Which place?
At Blue Springs.
Yeah, I love the coaches. Coach D, he's one of one. He helped me understand what a good coach can do and where they can take you. I also had Coach Holgrave, Coach Poe. I had some other great coaches, Coach Marble, those guys that surrounding. But just coming to Blue Springs was a culture shock because they do it the right way. They lift. You have after-school programs in St. Joe. I didn't lift. It was just all off God-given talent.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So, in your time here at Blue Springs, you obviously played Blue Springs South and Rockhurst.
Yep.
Which do you feel like was the bigger rivalry in your time?
Probably Rockhurst, just because of the competition. And I'll go on to even more to say Lee Summit West, just because of the talent we both had. Yeah. Our games went down to the wire. Like junior year, that was our only loss, and senior year, I'm pretty sure we were their only loss. So it was more of a battle between there and then Rockhurst. They weren't bad, they were rock. It was definitely a challenge, but Blue South wasn't really a competition.
See, it changes over the years because now it's like the other way around for me and our team. So after your time at Blue Springs High School, you got a D1 scholarship. Yeah. How did you feel after you knew that you overcome everything you did to get here, and how did it just feel to get like a major win?
Honestly, those wins was kind of like the stepping stone. I think you could look it up on YouTube. Me, Dalvin, and Caleb, we actually had a special done on us at the high school. And out of all the guys, Coach D said I was going to be the one to make it. So that played a part into my process, but having those offers just kept me hungry. What really kept driving me was Dalvin won the Simone, I won the Buck Buchanan. We win state. I was an All-American. Then the next year, it's how much better can you be? Dalvin wins the Simone. That was my competition. Dalvin, that's my best friend. I won the Buck Buchanan again. So at that time, we had the Buck Buchanan and Simone Award winner here 2 times back-to-back. Don't happen too often. We won state back-to-back. So things kind of aligned and pushed us and got us to that point. And then obviously the college scholarships came into play because it ultimately made me decide not to play basketball. And I just wanted to focus on football. part of that reason was I got hurt in basketball, and I was more of a basketball kid whenever I got here.
Yeah.
And everybody joked about it, but it all played out.
Okay. Did you have like an announcement for your like scholarship, or did you just like?
I'll be brutally honest, and I'll look at the camera and say I don't believe in the announcement, right?
Okay.
Because once you verbally commit, it's just a placeholder.
Yeah.
Nothing's cemented until you sign that line. And a lot of people don't know I was committed to K-State early on, junior year. But there was a time I went to commit to Iowa. Iowa had too many scholarships already taken, so I couldn't go there. And then Nebraska came in. Bo Pelini came in a week before signing day, and they seen me running in the gym. I think they were looking at the twins at the time. And he ended up seeing me. He was like, oh, we got to get that kid. So in that week span of time, I almost made a flip, but I wasn't comfortable enough with going to a school I had never been to.
Do you think getting to the NFL would have went differently if you didn't go to K-State?
Yes and no. It's a process everywhere. Nebraska has a good history of putting guys in the NFL. Iowa has a long history of putting guys in the NFL. And at the time, they had Christian Kirksey. He was from St. Louis, more of my type of body style, that went to Iowa. That was pretty good. And they had a run of linebackers. So going to K-State, it didn't deter me or stop me, but I knew out of those three options, I was in good hands. Now, what I did, it wasn't a given whenever I got to K-State. And that's what people need to understand, that you got to set goals. I mastered what I was doing there. And then junior year became a reality. It wasn't a reality from freshman year.
Yeah. When you got to K-State and you got the opportunity to play in your first game, what were you feeling there? Were you nervous or?
It's a funny backstory. I knew I wanted to play freshman year.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen often at K-State. It didn't happen often under Coach Snyder, and I was confident enough, and I told the coaches, I feel like I earned a spot.
Okay.
If I don't play, I'll transfer. But I was confident enough in the work I had put in and competed to play at some type of capacity. And then, lo and behold, we played Stephen F. Austin. I have two and a half sacks. First college game. So now it's like I put in the work. I was confident enough. Now I can prove that I belong here. You can't just walk off the porch and do all this talking and not prove it, right?
Yeah.
Because then it would have turned out bad. But I've always been motivated to prove people wrong.
So you didn't go to the combine, but you were definitely at least there technically for the draft because you were watching it, right?
Yeah.
So what was going through your head when you found out that you were going to be a Viking?
Through that whole day, I thought I was projected to go third round.
Okay.
Now, whatever happened in between the draft process, you'll never know.
Yeah.
I ended up getting drafted in the 7th round.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of knew where I was going, or I was hoping I knew where I was going, because Miami called me the pick after the Vikings. I got drafted at 232 in the 7th round. So obviously it was gut punching. Yeah. Like, dang, I just left school early. I didn't think I was going to go this late, but I was given the opportunity. So by that time, I had to start gearing myself. Yeah, I was happy, but at the same time, I thought it was disrespectful.
Yeah.
Why? Because I thought I was, if you see a lot of stuff, I was projected to go 3rd, 4th round. And I was in the top 5, top 6 linebackers in the country. Yeah. And then there's always a long list of other people.
You were a really good pick for the 7th round.
Yeah.
What did you think of this past draft?
I think this past draft as a whole, I think O-lineman and D-lineman won it right. Every year the draft goes in waves. So it depends what's heavy at that position, because that plays a part in where other positions get drafted. Linebackers don't get drafted early. Until that first one gets drafted, the guys behind him won't get drafted. So there's a lot of O-linemen, D-linemen, DBs. That's why people need to understand when you're growing up in high school and just Little League that the real positions that last long are O-line, D-line. The next positions are DBs. There's only one running back on the field, right?
Yeah.
There's only one quarterback. There's only one tight end. So you got to put yourself in a position where there's multiple opportunities as opposed to just one. Not saying you can't do it, but be open to being versatile.
So you said O-line and D-line won. So
Yeah.
you think the Chiefs had a good draft?
I think they did. What was the first round pick? Was
Josh Simmons.
that's the
That's the O-lineman.
yep,
Ohio
O-lineman.
State.
They definitely got bigger. They got better with the O-line, right?
Yeah.
The biggest talk about the Chiefs was the O-line. So now they build depth there. Then after that, go get some pass rushers. You get a running back. I think the two best picks is probably going to be, I can't think, is his last name Royal?
Yeah, Jalen Royals.
Jalen Royals. And the 7th round receiving running back. Because he was a receiver in college. They moved him to running back, and that kid can fly.
What do you think about the situation with Shadur?
I think the learning lesson from there is you got to conduct yourself through every interview the same way, right?
Yeah.
Because whenever you put your destiny in somebody else's hands, all they have to do is pass a word, and then that word travels, and then that word travels, and then now people create this identity of you before you could create it yourself, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe he shouldn't have failed to the 5th round, but again, he's not the decision maker. The media is not the decision maker. The decision makers are who is in those rooms making those decisions. And if you rub somebody the wrong way, nobody cares where your talent is, right? And then it turns into a lesson. And look what the lesson was. You miss out on $30 million. And that's a big difference.
Right. And all of these guys going from college to the NFL, some of them don't realize how big of a jump it can be.
Yeah.
Which is why some of them don't work out. So how was your transition?
Transition was tough. I've probably been in every unfortunate situation. I was drafted 7th round. Linebacker coach tells me, "Oh, you're young. We'll just hide you on the practice squad."
Right.
I only played 22 snaps in the preseason, my first year. So I'm like, dang. Then the GM pulls me in. You know, sometimes you have to play chess moves with certain draft picks, and we'll try to hide you. I'm like, okay.
Right.
Well, the first game of the season, I go to sleep. I stayed up late having fun in my first time. I wake up to 30 missed calls. And it was San Fran.
Yeah, right.
It was the GM. It was John Lynch and my agent and Kyle Shanahan. They're like, you need to get on this plane because they had came and got me from practice squad.
Yeah.
I'm in Minnesota. I get to California on a Wednesday.
Okay.
I practice that same Wednesday, and I'm playing in a game Sunday. And mind you, I don't have much NFL experience, and that's all she wrote. That's all I needed was that little door kicked open, and that provided great opportunities for me.
Right. How mad were they at you that?
I became a story of you gotta.
Yeah.
Well, the problem was I didn't take my iPad up there because I knew they were going to try to convince me to stay. And it wasn't like I just left. A linebacker got hurt. Okay. My agent called, said, hey, are y'all going to move Elijah up? They said no. The next person came to get me. Why did they come get me? I conducted myself for a job interview. I went and visited San Fran after I went on the top 30 visit, and they liked me in the interview process.
Okay. So, like San Fran, you've been with, what, 6 NFL teams?
So I was with Minnesota early on. Okay. I was with San Fran for 3 years, and then that's when.
Okay. Which do you feel like you had the best time or experience with?
Obviously, wherever you're at is the longest, right? Is your most comfortable. And I always say California, right? You wake up, you don't got to worry about nothing. Yeah. The weather is amazing. The food's amazing. The only thing I didn't like was the cost of living.
Okay. Yeah.
But, you can't control that. But I was very fortunate. Organization is great. And I just felt like it was the right place for me to be.
Okay. Did you ever have like a sort of humbling experience in the NFL? Maybe like a welcome to the NFL moment, like you see all these rookies?
Trying to think. I think my biggest welcome to the NFL moment was just the experience of there's a grown man that's probably 30 years old playing O-line, and I'm freshly 21, and I'm trying to fight them. So just figuring out, I was a coverage linebacker, so figuring out how to be a run-stopping linebacker.
Okay. Kind of going along with that, who out of every game you played, who do you feel like was the toughest player to go against? Maybe like a running back or a quarterback?
Theo Riddick.
Okay.
Whenever you thought you had leverage, you never had leverage. And he was an older guy, and that was my first start in the NFL too. So, mind you, there's so many different things going on around me. And on top of a guy that's juking 4 times before he actually makes a move was like the eye-opener. I'm like, man, I got to figure it out.
Right.
And in that same game, LeGarrette Blount was the running back, starting running back. So trying to tackle LeGarrette Blount and cover Theo Riddick, it's a crazy combo.
Right. Well, in your time in the NFL, you had 1 sack, right?
Was it? Yeah.
1 sack, and I'm pretty sure it was Russell Wilson.
Well, I sacked Matt Stafford. That was my first
Stafford?
game.
Yeah. Okay,
and
Matt Stafford. How'd you feel after you got the sack?
It's funny because on the stat sheet it said sack.
Right.
But in real life, I just hip bumped him and made him fumble. So it was a sack fumble.
Okay.
Because I went up, put my hands up, and I ran through him. Because before that, I took his head off because he didn't step out the white, and it kind of caused a lot of commotion.
Didn't you almost get Lamar too?
Yeah, almost.
Almost. He's fast.
Yeah.
How did it feel coming back home to play for the Chiefs?
You know, it's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
You try to focus on football, but all the surrounding distractions are here. It was better that I did it later in my career than early on, because later in my career I was able to create a regiment, and everybody around me understood when it's football, leave me alone.
Right.
When I get out of practice, if I talk to you, I talk to you. If not, just let me go on, carry about my business, and we'll go
on. How'd you feel about the Chiefs facilities?
They weren't bad. I've been in better.
Okay.
But there's no place like Arrowhead. Right. So that's what separates it, right? Arrowhead's one of a kind. The only other one I could kind of compare is Cleveland, because Cleveland loves football just as much as Ohio loves football just as much as Missouri loves the Chiefs.
Right. You've won a Super Bowl with your hometown team.
Yeah.
That must have been one of the greatest times you've had in your life, huh?
It was a humbling blessing. Yeah.
Humble blessing?
Most definitely, because I played them the first time in the Super Bowl and lost to them.
Yeah.
So coming back around and making it full circle, had I known it was going to be my last year, it would have been that much more exciting, right?
Right.
But, you know, you can never count your last days. You never know. It's father time. The game moves faster than you.
Did anybody ever joke about that with you? Like about,
which one?
About like how you lost to the
Chiefs? Yeah, I
Chiefs?
tried to stay away from home, but it was the inevitable. This one I'm from.
Yeah.
People got to understand, not everybody makes it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You got some guys that play a whole career, a 10-year career, that never make it to the Super Bowl. So it's a blessing to be a part of too.
Did you ever get to like hold the Lombardi at all, or?
No.
Okay. Yeah. After 6 years in the NFL, you decided to retire. What made you feel like your time was up?
I did 6 years. My 7th year, it was kind of the workout, figure out what was next, and it took me 2 years to finally, come to Jesus moment that football is over, right? Football don't last forever, and that's what you got to understand. Football will be done with you before you're done with it, and it's a humbling experience, but it's a blessing. Why? Because I made great relationships.
Right.
I was a kind person. People still love me. It's able to create opportunities, and I learned a lot of the game. The average is what, 3 years, maybe 2 years now. You'll have to go back and look and do the numbers, but to make it 6 years, have an opportunity to have over 100 tackles. Those surrounding you, there's some people, it's 1 in a million sometimes, right?
Right.
Being a part of the 1%. And it's only a blessing that I perfected and mastered those hours to get where I needed to go.
Right. And I feel like you kind of want to help kids
Yep.
get to a point to where you were and help them feel the same feelings like me, like how you trained me. So do you feel like what is your overall goal, like after football? Like, do you plan on?
That's where I bounce back and forth. It's obviously getting into coaching, or
Okay.
I find that working with kids and preparing them and helping them understand. The reality of it is there's not enough teachers. There's a lot of coaches. There's not enough teachers, and that's the difference. I had a coach, D'Amico Rhines, and Johnny Holland, that helped me understand that there's coaches that can just get you through, and there's coaches that will take you to the next level.
Okay.
And the coaches that take you to the next level help you understand the game, from big picture to small picture. When I say big picture, is know about the things happening around you, but also the little things is knowing how to do your job.
Okay.
And whenever you know how to do your job, that helps everybody around. Then you could go correct people. But if you can't do your job, how are you a leader, and how do you carry yourself to feel like you can correct other people?
Coach, I thank you for taking your time to go on this interview with me, and I thank all of you watching, and I hope you'll all be ready for the next episode for my next interview.